Okay, hello, I'm Elemis. This isn't going to be very professional or high grade, but it's going to be helpful, hopefully. And my hope is to do a bit of an intro to the DLC Randomizer 2v2. I'm going to do two routes in two different videos. This first video is going to be the Gravesite Plain route, as it's called, and then we'll do the ADM route afterwards. So this assumes a couple things. This assumes you have the randomizer installed, including with the overlay, which all that stuff can be found in the Rando Resources channel in our Discord at Zero Scratch, which I'll link below. And a live split is something that I use as well, but you won't be able to see, which is okay. And yeah, let's get going. So, quick thing I'll do is I'll just show really quickly for those who are new, the number beside the item is the stats required, not what stats per se. But, you know, Golem Fist, if it needs int or whatever, I don't know, that weapon's appalling. And honestly, I'm not really liking... We have Dragon Scale Blade, we'll just do that. Oh, that'd be funny. Do we have a Larval Tier? No, okay. So we will probably do... You'll see these are random as well. We'll do Larval, we'll do the Dragon Scale Blade, because it's fun. Okay. So it says that we're going to need 6. I know that Dragon Scale Blade requires 20 dex, so... 6 is dex, and then you go to level 60. So what will happen, and you'll start your character, and you'll be at the Chapel of Anticipation, and you'll see a grace in front of you. You don't need to pick up the items on the right that you normally would for a normal game or bingo. Instead, you sit at the grace, and you get up to level 60. So I'm going to put my weapon first, and then normally what folks recommend doing is go pretty high vigor. 55 is where I'm now comfortable playing. I started, though, at 60. But it's whatever your preference is. I would say if you're just starting, 60 would probably be best. So that's the beginning. So we'll do Gravesite Plain route. So what does that mean? So you'll know if you play the DLC, which hopefully you have before doing one of these, is that the map is sort of broken up into multiple sections. Gravesite Plain players are responsible for a certain types of checks, and then ADM players, obviously from Dragon's Pit Cave here, where ADM is, are responsible for different types of checks. And so what each video will do is we'll go through some brief routing tips and ideas for both routes, so you can sort of understand, okay, I want to try this route, ADM or Gravesite Plain. This is how we will do it. So I'm normally with a somber weapon. I wouldn't normally loot Scorched Ruins unless I had a teammate with a smithing weapon. And the reason for that is smithing weapons are really powerful if you can put an Ash of War on them. And obviously you need to be able to. So if I am Gravesite Plate route, though, I'll probably still usually loot those two. We'll take our Ash of War Scarab off, because that's bonus damage for us. And then we'll go get our first Grace. Furnace Golem should be fine if I'm not a bozo about it, but I am. You'll also notice that the Talisman was randomized, the armor is randomized, everything, of course, is randomized, enemies, etc. So, yeah. So we get this Grace for 2 reasons. One is that if we want to go into Belurat later on, which is what a Gravesite player historically has been responsible for doing, is clearing Belurat. There's 2 checks in there, and I'll get into what checks are in a moment. The second is that it lets us take this check here, which is the Ghost Flame replacement, and this check here, which is usually Solitary Jail Knight. So that Grace is the most important one in your Gravesite Plain route, as it kind of gives you an even nice, easy split access between the first 2 checks you'll do. So what are checks? Simply, checks are, you'll see actually the overlay says 0 out of 32. What that means is there are 32 checks in the game. And the goal of what we're doing in 2v2 Rando is we're trying to find 10 unique Mesmer Shards of Kindling. So you may remember from when you played in the DLC, after you killed Mesmer, you got a Kindling Shard to burn the Shadow Tree down. Oh, that's spooky. No, thank you. You need 10 of them, and both teams need 10 unique shards, because you play usually in 2v2 format with other teams. So each player needs 5 shards they can be non-unique. So let's say this one drops 1, for example, the Northern Gravesite Plain check, the Ghost Flame Dragon replacement boss. Let's say that one drops 1. My teammate could go and kill that one for a shard. And the reason they may do that is because you need 5 shards to be able to actually burn the tree and enter a near limb. Now I'm going to do some skips throughout this run. I wouldn't worry about learning these immediately, but Shura has posted a great, in the resources channel, a great list of individual videos for individual skips, and I've also included in there, the last video is for a unique skip for in Belurat that is a little bit more advanced, so you don't have to worry about that right away. But anyway, the 32 stands for the 32 bosses that we have to kill, and every boss has the potential of being a check. There are also 4 checks that are not bosses. Those are, one's in Belurat, that is the sewer jail key. Or it's just the sewer key, I don't even know if it's the sewer jail key, doesn't matter I suppose. One is the imbued key at Castle Ensis in the treasure chest. One is talking to Ymir for the first time. I think normally you get the well depths key and the necklace. That's actually just a shard check. And then the last one is O Mother in Bonnie Village. So in total there are 36 checks, and your goal is to try and complete them as fast as possible to get 10 unique shards. And once you get 10 unique shards, you and your teammate are allowed to go fight PCR. Obviously not the real PCR, but the PCR replacement. So what you're seeing right now is Fort Reprimand is one of the first, what I'll call hubs of the rando run. It is where both players will intersect, and both players being the Ancient Dragon Man or ADM route and the Gravesite Plain route. Both players will at least grab the Fort Reprimand Grace in their routing. This is because it starts to then allow us to separate into really divergent paths. I'm in combat, so I won't be able to show. Okay, interesting. This is a check. So the Ghost Flame Moose, in this case, or the Ancestor Spirit, that is a check as well. Inside Fort Reprimand, I believe it's one of the 2 Black Knights. I think it's Idrid? I can't remember. It's been a long time since I did a vanilla playthrough. But that's also a check. That moose is getting messed up. They nerfed the anyway, it doesn't matter. That's funny though. Yeah, so this is a good time to take a pause, because this is actually where the routing really starts to split. Both players will get more grace, and the rest of the routing I'll show both players will do to a point. But this is a big divergent part, because the Gravesite Plain player will eventually go north into, through the river, past this tunnel, and find themselves in lower Ra ruins, because eventually they're going to want to do the Northern Mausoleum, and I think that's Ralva, I can't remember. Ooh, backhand blades. Okay, that could be. I think they come with their own Ash of War on them. So it's interesting. Some weapons, Iron Balls is like this as well, come with an Ash of War. So let's say you can't find an Ash of War for a smithing weapon, but you find Iron Balls. You can take out Braggart's Roar and put them on to any weapon, which is really useful for affinities. So this is the first one of the other skips you'll see. Real simple. And then one of the other checks. This is O Mother normally. In this case, you'll see it's Skidoo. 1 Skidoo, 2 Golden Seeds. So that's a big difference in DLC Rando as well. Skidoo is not something that you need to go kill the pot guys for or go to the altars for. In fact, you just get them from the checks. So all the checks have a chance of getting Mesmer Shards, Golden Seeds, or Skidoo Fragments or Shadow Fragments. Interesting talismans or tiers. So, but yeah. So that the more runes grace, really important part, as that diverts the players. The Gravesite player is typically responsible for these checks, and then when I get in front of Castle Ensis, I will show. Take a second to pause and sort of show where the ADM player's route starts to really kick in. But so far, all we're doing is we're setting up the route to Romina, as obviously both players need to kill Romina, as it's a, important important check to do. So, that area can be finicky. This guy can be a dick, but he's not going to be. I may still quit out because he casted that early and I'm a little, yeah, we're going to quit out. So quitting out is important on those golems. It resets their attacks, and in particular, you'll see a quit out in the golem in Ra Ruins on the way to Romina. That's really, really important because he goes back to sleep. And that's really, really nice. So, going to be careful on the corners here. I was killed once because I was running a bit of a lower vigor build with Darkmoon Greatsword and a Banished Knight looking enemy. I don't even know what it's called in the actual game. But the gravity arrows actually just one-shot me. And as you can tell, what the frig? Oh, okay. That's fine. He's just cranky. We'll come up. Yeah, it one-shot me, which was awful because you saw I didn't get any graces. So one thing you'll see is this routing does a lot of grace skipping. And that's comes from confidence in the routing. There is no shame in grabbing, like, the Grace, for example, after Bonnie Village, like, before you start running through the pathway where the charm gets broken, Nicholas charm gets broken, when you're especially for your first few races, because that, like, middle tunnel pass can have quite a lot of intense enemies. The golem can be annoying. The enemies afterwards can be annoying, and if you get killed, I'd have to go all the way back to Morth Ruins. So there's no shame in actually like grabbing some extra graces. We will grab this one though. We'll do a little grace warp to refill my flasks. Okay, so this is one of the scarier parts of the routing, because all these enemies are randomized. So, okay. Well, I'm not going to use the ER tool yet. I have a thought that if the bosses are giving me too much for time so I can show the routing, I may just ER tool one shot. But now I'm thinking, yeah, this is bad. Yeah, okay. Well, that can happen. So, I'm glad we got that grace. Okay. I'll give it one more try in earnest, and then otherwise I will disable enemy eye, because I don't want to spend more of this time dying, but that can, I guess actually, we'll make use of the deaths. We'll make use of our suffering for the learning of others. So often whoever gets here first will do what I did and check the right side over there of the church, but you'll see there's a cool little shiny over here. And sometimes the other person, if they're a little behind, will check the left side. And then what you do often, you get pretty used to this, is, while you're doing your routing with your teammate, is you're both calling out what you're finding to sort of help you make sense of like what items are worth picking up and what items aren't worth picking up. So, is he really? Oh, they can jump up here. That's okay. Okay, that was spooky, but we did it. Yay. Okay, so this is a pretty common item pick up here. That guy is... The randomizer does some funny things with this coloration. I don't even know if that's the actual color of that enemy normally. The tree spirit will still show up there, but if you were to go down after draining the water, which you may have to, because Sunflower, Skadu Sunflower as a boss is a check, that tree spirit's not actually there. It's like randomized enemies. But it does drop stuff, so if you were to kill the enemies that were there instead, you got items. Okay, so nothing scary here. We'll loot this. Ooh. We like seeing somber smithing stones. Okay, this is good. This is really good, because this is a decent money seed so far. You may be wondering, right, why do you need money when you've been able to, like, you got your levels already, right? Well, upgrading costs a bunch. Extra levels never hurt, but mostly it's upgrading your weapon of choice, and actually because so we have, you'll see when I go to Roundtable, I'll go through a quick show. We have all the stones available to us at Roundtable, but they cost a fair bit. I think like the Somber 9 is 25k, so 25,000. The Somber 8's 20, and we got a Remembrance, so good. This will be a good one to show some good tech for. Yeah, so we're grace warping. Don't worry about this shit. If you can't grace warp, you'll learn in time. Um, the idea is you approach the grace when you first grab it on an angle, and then open your map at the same time, and then you can warp as the grace spawns for you. You can also do a similar thing with the grace quitouts. I don't go over there and grab that because it's usually not worth it. And I'm one of the few bozos who, depending on the color of the item here, purple or above, I'll pick it up. As always, we are seeing the folly of my ways, and it is useless. Whoop. Don't do that. Sometimes you have to quit out here, because quitting out will reset the enemy's position. And you'll see, this is not good. Okay, you don't take riposts on elevators, because if you do, you end up hang timing with them in the air. Okay. That's scary. We're going to avoid that now. So what you can do instead of being a bozo... What? Okay, sorry, I'm crashing out. Is you can just... Oh, my brother. I gotta concentrate. Holy moly, but the whole fucking zoo? Sure. That was worth it. I don't have a helmet. Is you quit out before the elevator? Oh, brother. You know, I don't know how that attack works. I don't know how you dodge it. Oh my god. Okay. That was, we didn't die. Hopefully the dog isn't aggro before I get in. Nope. We're saved. Okay. So that place is scary. Big reason why we do a flask refill before we jump down. It's very easy to die. I do skip the grace again. Don't feel like you need to skip this grace. This is very much a, like, I've encountered... Oh, it's very funny. Dragon Scale Blade again. I've encountered quite a few enemies on this bridge that I've been able to survive from, like, giant, like, rune bears, colossal hands, machine gun sorcerers was in our seed, so... yeah, I feel pretty good not grabbing this grace, but I've had teammates after they hear, like, hey, there's a machine gun sorcerer on that bridge, they decided to grab the grace, which makes total sense. We like to see that. So, the elevators, yeah. If you, you'll notice in randomizers, if you quit out, enemies reset to their position that they respawned in, and their AI is also temporarily reset. There can be a little finickiness, so sometimes they'll be aggressive before you fully load in. But for the most part, if you need to quit out, or you're feeling worried about getting killed, quitting out ain't a bad idea, because it can stop you from being killed. That kind of saved me there. So, we need full flasks for this, because of the skip I'm going to do. So what you'll notice, and this is the first one, the skip is really, this is like one I would encourage you to learn. Just fall, and then you jump backwards, and then you jump down here. This is good if you're interested in picking up the first item ahead of me. You'll see it in a moment. It's like, there's another way to get down here, but it's actually just, I just do this now, it's way simpler. Ooh, that may be nice. I mean, at least it's drip. Wasn't worth it, but, you know, we pick it up for the culture. Oh, I got options. Sure, I gotta... Alright, this is a skip that is a pain in the ass to learn. Once you learn it... Am I gonna get it? Yeah. It saves a ton of time versus you having to run all the way around to the lower part. Again, if you like... Another remembrance, okay. If you're really confident in, like, your way around... Ow. Low around... Okay. This is kind of... This is not the norm. I'll just say it now. You usually don't get 3 remembrances. So there's some things I'm going to do in this run that I wouldn't normally do, because when you have this much money, you don't need to do things like dupe a remembrance behind Ymir. But this is one of the quitouts I was referring to earlier regarding the golem. Wow, he did nothing. I was really lucky most of the time. He leads with a kick. Like one of his giant kicks, but you'll see when he's down, when I spawn in, he's back asleep and he has to wake up. So that gives me all the safety I need to make my way past him. I don't recommend, like, I think even the best players who play 2v2 quit out before the golem. You lose no time, because everything for the posting of your time, like, how fast you and your teammate completed the run is all in-game time. So quitting out has like no consequence to that. I'm not gonna, I'll pick it up because I'm interested in seeing. Oh my god. Okay. I promise I didn't cook the seed. I hit the run on the randomizer after making one. But that's funny. This has been hilariously high in the rate runes, or the remembrances. Okay, we'll pick up 2 more items. Grab the Grace. Bonk. Okay. Now what you'll see me do is I'm going to check who Romina is. And the reason for that is Romina is very high scaled. One of the higher scaled things we get to fight in the game. Sometimes it's a very easy boss. In this case, it's Godskin Duo, which means I won't be coming here first. Sometimes if the boss is really easy, we've had like Stone Digger Trolls, Solo Watchdog. I've gone there first to get like a whole bunch of, it's like 400k close to, without any like rune bonus items. So, yeah. The next thing I'll do is go to more runes. I'm going to take a sippy sip. And we're almost done setting up Promise. What you're going to see now, so typically what the Gravesite player would do is and we're doing this as the Gravesite route. So I will do as I'm supposed to do and not be a goober. We don't even usually talk to the Ymir. Oh, I'm Babozo. Stupid enemies. Okay. Normally the Gravesite player may only go to Ymir if they really need the Skidoo. In this case, because we got so many remembrances, I think it's worth showing people what another out of boss check is. The Ymir is one of the 4 checks I mentioned earlier. So far we've done O Mother. And I can also show where the dupe is afterwards. I think you may be the best one, Romina. I don't know. Yeah, normally if you're the Gravesite Plain player, unless you were really desperate for money, which you wouldn't be in the seed, because both you and your teammate would have ran through the Romina routing that we did at the beginning of the game, which ends by the Romina routing is everything I did from the start to the game to when I got the Grace in front of Romina. That's the route that's the Romina routing. So we'll talk to him once. Pretty low Skidoo for me so far. Only got 2. I'm talking to his dialogue fully because he is a shop and we have randomized all shops. So this includes Corrin. So instant spam Peeler, that's really funny. I don't think I have any feet armor. Yeah, so worth checking. If you're the first one there, can be nice to check. I do have them. Well, damn. Okay, so I'll show you where the dupe is. What I was saying before is the Romina route is what we do from the beginning of the game to when we get Romina's Grace. And the ADM video, you'll see why the beginning of that route changes, but how a lot of it intersects. So right there, dupe the Mausoleum. I'll also show Tolier as a shop. And what lots of people like to do is lots of people like to sell at Tolier. Ymir isn't interested in your petty things, so Ymir won't take your money, but Tolier is hungry for runes, so he'll take all the runes. You gotta sell him. So what has he got? Ooh, that's good. I have that. There's one of those Ashes of War. So if I had a smithing weapon, like a thrust, this would be a really good pickup. This would be a good thing to call it to a teammate. Could be like, hey, you're using a rapier, impaling thrust is here. Buy this. You can put any affinity you want at cold, bleed, whatever. And we'll just sell this. Okay, they're all worth the same. So this is why I wouldn't have duped Romina's Remembrance, because you see, without that extra 30k, I am cooking. with money. So, okay. Uh, we'll show corn as a stop. All you gotta do is say yes. Trip check. He's okay. Short sword. Pretty meh. Nothing interesting. One thing to know too is the Finger Maiden. The one in the room. I'll just point it out. So we'll check her as well. Larval tier, this is going to be really helpful. So if you picked like Darkmoon Greatsword and you like want to respec to it, or you find a weapon in your routing that you want to respec to, this can be really good to do. You can use a Larval tier, and I'll show you what the option is. It's at any grace. The same option that was DLC start. There's a option for rebirthing as well. Right here, if you go through there and exhaust her dialogue the first time, she will offer you the chance to look at the remembrances you've picked up, and see if there's any items there. Some people do as well, if they're really, again, desperate for some like money, or a rather certain Ashes of War. Some people just do it anyway for talismans. If you have like a lot of remembrances, like even in this game, I could have justified doing it because I had a lot of them. So, and now we'll start killing bosses, the whole fun part of Randomizer. And depending on what they are and how miserable this goes, I may just... Okay. Sure. So, I'll get my Vigor up, or my Endurance up to 20, my Raging Ruins. But you notice it cost me like 100k to even level up a Somber weapon. That was like, not the most expensive one to level up, right? So, money's really important. Endurance is really important. These fights can be kind of long depending on your weapon. I like to do this little check here if I'm the Gravesite player for fun, if I really need something. That's a fucking, okay. It's another remembrance. That's very funny. There is a Grace over yonder. Where is it? I don't know. It's somewhere over there. Oh yeah, you can see I'm happy right over there. If the boss that you see is a rough boss, you think it's gonna be a hard boss for you, and you think you don't want to go ahead and do it for right away. No harm in getting that Grace. It is faster to do that. I think I'm versing. Oh, okay. This should be pretty simple, so I'm not worried about. So it should be simple, but already starting with this, eh? Oh boy. Hey, simple when you're used to poise breaking him all the time. I'm gonna spam the Ash of War if that just like sunlocks him. Well, strong attacks do too. Venus. Okay, never mind. E dread, more like E dead. I'm too cooked. Good boss. Okay, so boss is dead. What we would do beforehand, which we voted against doing it now, is quit out, because when you would quit out before, you would get the item drops right away. People have voted opposed to that rule, so we're not allowed to do that. But what you can do instead is Grace Warp. So you're like, wow, you didn't get any of the drops. You didn't get the Scouty Fragments or the Golden Seeds. What you can do is if you warp to a Grace, and then run into the distance of the pickup. There we go. Now we know. And actually, it's just faster for me to go back to the Grace because it's all in-game time. So that may not be the most worth it. There's a few Grace Warps that actually matter a lot more for time saving. I don't know if that one is it. I can't remember if I've tested it, but someone may have tested it. We're actually going from the Mausoleum and then Grace Warping is faster. Bro, it's fine. It's fine. We're good. You'll notice that I didn't rest. I'm not overly worried about, like, my Skidoo right now. If this boss is something I can't kill at one Skidoo, then it's probably bigger issues that I'm going to have. But take your own pace. So, if you're newer, maybe that's probably why you're watching this. Don't feel like you have to like not get graces or like rest and level up. I'm a bozo. I probably should have got the Skidoo. I'm not good at phase 1 Mesmer. As you can see, I'll give it a shot. Okay, our damage is also sort of meh. Well, we are. Okay, we are rusty. Let's focus up for a second. I was clipped by that second part. Yeah. I was a little too early. So I have a hard time seeing Mesmer's attacks, like, and really recognizing them. Like, I don't know how I can't, like, really notice any of that stuff going on. I probably lost my stagger, though. Which is really the other part of the problem for me. Wow. Alright, well, that could have been messier. We killed it, though. It's fine. So now we have to wait for the drops. And we do... Oh, we got a shard. That's 1 out of 10 shards for our team. Or 1 out of 5 shards for me. Depends you're eating your limb. So the next set of checks we'll do in Gravesite Plain can be... There's 2 checks you can do. 2 routes you can take at this point, rather. What I like to do, and what lots of folks like to do, that I've been playing with anyway, is go, we'll do 25, and then we'll go Dex. I should have maybe done a little mind for the dashboard, doesn't matter. Lots of folks like to do, okay, Red Wolf, I'm gonna open my map, it's fine, is this these next checks in more runes, or north of the more grace. So, you go from the grace, you go pretty much due north, and then you'll see sort of the path I take to the Red Bear Mausoleum, and then I think again Arugula. I don't remember if this is Arugula or Ralva. Alabasters. Well, that's cringe. Won't be using that today. Anyway, what I was saying is lots of people I know that are more experienced like to do this routing, where instead of going into Belurat, they go this way after doing those 2 checks in Gravesite Plain that we just did, the Ghost Flame Dragon replacement and the Mausoleum. However, if before you do your weapon setup, meaning selling your pickups, buying your stones, upgrading your weapon, it is very reasonable to instead go through Belurat the intended way, like, walking through the doors, getting the grace at more, and going through Belurat and picking up the key and then killing Divine, the Dancing Lion replacement, as one of your earlier checks. I'm not going to show that right away. It'd be funny, actually, if we could get all 5 shards and on this routing, which would be pretty good. But yeah, I will show the... What I'm going to do is show the main routing for Gravesite Plain, and then I'll show the main routing for ADM, and then in a separate video, same character probably for ease, and then I will kind of go over the flex checks and probably at the end of the ADM video, because it will include all of the Romina running portion. But basically there's a bunch of checks that we can call flex checks. Those are checks that any player can take based on a few factors and strategies the players want to employ. For example, getting the emote "Oh Mother" is a pickup, one of the checks that you can find, and that opens up the hinterlands. And all three of those bosses, usually they're Tree Sentinel 1, 2, and Falling Star Beast, all of those bosses are actually checks, and they're obviously randomized too. And I strategize with lots of folks is whoever gets "Oh Mother," the other person goes back and drains the water and kills Scadutree Avatar. So let's see who this is. Okay, well, normally I would come back later. Oh no, he had a heart attack and died. Normally, if I were playing an actual run, I'm gonna turn one shot off now, and Placiduous Sax was in this arena, I would pivot. He is very tanky, and he doesn't play nice inside of mausoleums. He can fly out, his hitboxes get all janky, the lightning kind of goes all over the place. Not a fan. So what you'll notice too is, because we haven't got any graces here yet and we have one more check to do, what I would like to do normally is kill the boss of the mausoleum and then leave the mausoleum as the item sort of drops, and then go grab the grace that we're going to grab for the Red Bear replacement. The actual Red Bear, not like the NPC. But in this case, let's say I didn't one-shot Placiduous Sax by giving him the gift of a heart attack, as he righteously deserves in that arena. I would leave, because I think it's going to be a waste of time, I'm too low skidoo, and I grab this grace, which normally I would skip. And you'll see why in a moment. But if you are going to pivot away, it may not be a bad idea to grab that grace. And there actually may be an alternative grace you can grab with some other routing you can do through like a side path here. But we're just going to keep it simple for now, because I think even when I was talking about Ashura, we didn't time it yet if it's faster, so we'll stick to the basics for now. Okay. So yeah, the reason I wouldn't have grabbed the grace that I just grabbed, it is the Temple Town Ruins grace, is because normally I'd kill the mausoleum, hope it's a super simple boss that you can first try, and then come to this grace instead. And this grace would be our main grace in Rao. I am going to level a bit. I think I did not actually, I can't count. This is a bad level. Usually you want to try leveling, you can get maybe 2 or 3 levels in. Or you have enough skidoo to actually level up, and I miscounted. Again, like, that's from a very, like, I've done these before, and my focus is trying to optimize as best as possible. For beginning, if your focus is just to kill the things, kill the bosses, then, you know. I hear a dragon. We'll see what the damage is, and we'll decide if the gods want him to have a heart attack as well. This wouldn't be one I would pivot off of, and the damage is pretty bad. And I don't frost or anything yet, but wow, I misunderstood that attack timing pretty bad. Yeah, okay. Well, oh my gosh, we're gonna get hit. If we hit the boss, we do damage to it. I wonder what our post damage is like. There we go. Took me long enough. I probably could have gotten a few more hits than maybe. Well, I'll try this once at least. Keep swinging at nothing. Also, was that a choice to do my very first bit of Elden Ring today, making this video. I kind of worked, had dinner, and then... Okay, this is probably... There we go. I don't need Starlight Shards, damn. Let me just run away from this. I could mount up, for example. See, this is why I should have... That was close. I should have brought some mind, because I... This attack? Don't have dodge on foot at all. I don't have dodge on torrent either. Oh, well. Probably run underneath him. Okay, well. The good thing is, you know that's a check. And bless your heart, this is why we get this grace. Because if we don't get this grace and we die, because we're bozos, then it's a brown spot. Okay, so let's say we don't die there. Actually, you know what? For posterity's sake, I heard that the dragons were caught with a plague, a devastating plague, and you know, one of the causes of the plague is heart attacks, and so I think, you know, if we try again, I have a strange feeling, I don't know how, that this dragon may have caught the plague. I mean, he looks like pretty plagued up already, you know, so okay, well, he's got, what the heck? Alright. Alright, took him a bit. Figured it out. You can port back to this. You can port back to this grace. And this should be in range. Haven't tested this yet. This will be fun. This should be in range for the pickups. Boop. Another. Okay, wow. We actually... Okay, so the Gravesite player then. Let's say no one on your team has found no mother, which means that nobody's, like, responsible yet, quote unquote, for picking up the slack on the sunflower draining or hinterlands. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the Routing-Belurat routing. This is very much not a flex check. These checks are pretty consistently the Gravesite Plain player's checks. So we quit out there for the elevator. If you pull the lever and quit out, you'll see. Ta-da! And now we have some juicy runes to pop on the way down. Holy shit, American runes are 80k? That's as long as I'm... How is America's runes more runes than the Placidusax? Because, yeah, Dragon Lord is Placidusax, if I remember. That's... Who thought that made sense? Anyway, doesn't matter. Show you the Jori routing very quickly. Or the... So there's 3 checks on the Joy route. There's Rakshasa. Yeah, right? It's Rakshasa. No, yeah, it is. Yeah, the mausoleum has fun, good names. Jori and then Midra himself. So we'll grab this for fun. Wow, that actually, half the time it's like a firefly or something else that is not very useful. Take the coffin. Miyazaki loves coffins. Don't know why. Not my place to ask. I wouldn't worry about picking up this grace because if you die to the furnace golem up ahead, and I say if because it has happened to many brave souls, it is quite possible you will spawn back at the bottom there where you leave from the coffin. Now, people have said, and I don't believe them, I get clipped by it every time, that if you just run in a straight enough line, which I didn't, you won't get hit by the attack. It does like a fire spin inside of its belly and like spews a long cylinder of flame at your face. I don't really want to deal with that right now, so I always quit out. I've greeted it by not quitting out before, and I've got either nearly killed or heck, even just getting dismounted from Torrent is a time waste. Again, you'll notice I passed that grace. no pressure to do the same. If you don't know, if you haven't done this area, like maybe this is like you're watching this video and you're like, what the heck? I didn't even know this place existed in the map, because it was behind a hidden wall. Then, you know, like, don't feel shame of grabbing as many graces as you need to start your first few playthroughs comfortably. I'm just going to do what I sort of feel is the right thing to do for moi. So, yeah, grab the grace. This is one I do grab all the time because it kind of connects to, you'll see me go to the mausoleum for Rakshasa, and then you'll see me go to, we'll do some mind, because I want to be able to do, that should be enough, a couple casts of one more cast of my Asher War. Yeah, this goes to the mausoleum, and then this also goes the other way to Darklight. Ooh, did I reset? I did. There we go. Oopsies. Well, hello, giant birdie. I'll hit the scare to see what my damage is like, and then hit them off sometimes because it's funny and they aggro you anyway, but that's because we're being goofy. Okay. Now sometimes the name of this mob is very funny because it has like a Rakshasa like embedded into it. What is that? Rakshasa Mariner. Well, that's lame. Both because the boss is boring and because the name isn't very funny. Whatever, it's fine. Who cares? Bop. I missed. How dare I? Oh, the sound's coming out. I promise you that's not my audio. That's the... Mausoleums are weird. When things go in through the wall, they don't always connect. Oh, this is the most boring Tibia Mariner I've ever seen. Yay, it's dead, and I don't think Grace Warping works. Shit, let's try it. Maybe it does. It's always worth giving it a shot. That's maybe too far away. It isn't. Well, look at that. Okay, so, now we're in a bit of a funky situation. You know, our checks have only given us, I think we only have, what, 3 shards? Yeah, we only have 3 shards. Not quite what we'd like to see. We would like to do some more. And this is where the strategy of Rando comes in. Because some teams are going to say, you know, even the players that I play with who do the Belurat strat, where we don't go into Belurat in the main way, we go the roundabout way that I'll show later. Some of those players will even be like, okay, like now we're kind of getting to the spot where maybe we do one more check. That's a flex check. And then you go to Belurat, you know, forget the small time save. You know, go ahead and do the routing as normal. Some players are like myself, and I'm much more like, it's all in the context too. You know, if my partner, for example, is doing ADM and they haven't found O Mother yet, that's where I start to get a little leery, and even I'm going to be like, okay, maybe we do Belurat soon, because if it has O Mother, then you're locking yourself off a lot of checks, which isn't good, obviously. So, yeah. But what I just want to show is the straightforward, like, these are the checks that Gravesite Plain players, regardless of when they'll do them, will always do them. So as the Gravesite Plain player, you know, when you say I'm going to do the Gravesite route, you will always do Rakshasa, you will always do Jori, and then effectively you'll always do Midra. And I'll just go through those checks, and then the flux checks are what I'll do after. And of course you'll both do Romina, because you need to. This is kind of the longest elevator ride ever. I'll show you... Okay, the enemy's not bad. I can show you the way to do this without the skip. So there is a skip that I'll try and do after the fact. If you don't want to do the skip, though, you just fall down there. Oh, you know, I won't do the skip. There's a skip you can do over there. That's fine. Saves a bit of time, but if you're going to die, then that's not really a time save, even with the stake. What you do is just fall down the way I fell, walk into the room, turn right, and come down this elevator, the ladder. There's a way you can jump off the banister at the very tippy top, and land on like the edge that's sticking out, and then like take some fall damage and not actually die. I believe that's in the skip video that Shura posted, but that's a small time save, which isn't true of all the skips. The skip you saw me do really quickly in the game, Tolier, because it's right by the Tolier vendor, where you jump like awkwardly down the cliffside. Unfortunately, not only is it one of the more like frustrating to learn sometimes skips, it saves a lot of time. The one where I jumped off the cliff to Bonnie Village, where O Mother is usually. Another one that saves quite a bit of time. And then the tree skip where I leapt off the cliff onto the tree. And Rao, kind of the same deal, you know, time save. Quite a bit of a time save, but that one's a little trickier. And you don't need to worry about that yet, really, unless you wanna. Okay, that was a long elevator ride, but we're done now. And we'll see what cosmic horror awaits us at Jory. Wow, I am truly the most frightened. I can't imagine the... Whatever, that's funny. You live your best life over there, little plant. Oh no, I may get poisoned. Whatever shall I do? Oh no, the plant's moving back. I always miss the riposte on these guys. I'm bad. You're gonna do the slam? You're not gonna do the lightning beam? Surely now you do the lightning beam. Yes. Yes. I was like, I don't know if it one-shots me, but I doubt it did. Ooh, a shard. Okay, we're one way from showing the cool stuff. So, the reason I'm grabbing this Grace isn't because I think I'm going to die on my way, although you actually should grab it anyway, actually. But normally what you would do as the Jory player, Jory Midra, the Gravesite Plain player killing Jory, is you're probably not going to Midra right away, because this is, you're going to see this kind of a longish run, and Midra's fairly high scaled. So, just scaling means, in this context, like, enemies have different like values assigned to their damage and health pool, how much damage they do, how much damage they need to take till they die, based on the locations they're in. And Midra's on the higher end of that scaling, so the boss you fight there is going to be tankier and have a higher chance of killing you quickly. Bale side is also typically, again, in that higher, the whole side of Bale in particular, so once you get past ADM, you know, all the jagged peaks running, which you'll see in the other video, all those bosses are fairly high scaled. And then the hinterlands, I think, is like second-ish highest scaling in the game, just short of like Romina and PCR. So that's, you know, the O Mother, whoever gets O Mother has a bit of a scaled area to work through. So if you don't want to do that, a little skip, I'm in combat, which is annoying. You literally can just take from the Grace, you just run all the way west till you kind of get to a dead end. You'll see the Grace I got is the Forsaken Graveyard. I ran all the way west, past the Elder's Hovel. Oh, that's actually really convenient because we have dumplings. Let's cure poison. You get to that waterfall area, like to the right there, and you want to run through here. You go west, and then you kind of start going south, just past the hovel. You start going south, and then what you want to do is basically go all the way so you can't go west no more, and then take a harder pivot south. And I know I'm going east, so you can be pedantic with that, that's okay. And now we're back south, and the world is in the cosmic order it needs to be. So this is a long hike, and now you'll see a player in the server, if you haven't already met him, named Nartok, who is a bozo, and did this in my game with him last night, and did it twice in my game with him, I think. Or maybe in a different game. But he didn't grab the Grace at Midra's Manse. We're not going to do that as new or experienced players. I quit out the door. IGT. Right, saves in game time. And you don't have to go through the long animation, see the doors open. But we're going to grab this Grace ahead of us. Even if I didn't have 400k. Because this is going to be a scary area. And the enemies are randomized. There's lots of enemies that get randomized in here. And you could easily die. And if you die, you get to do the walk all the way from Jori all over again. Which I have seen Nartok have to do before. So, you know, don't do what Nartok does and not get the Grace. And, yeah. So, Midra's Manse. I forgot to do this when I last played, so here's a quick reminder. You break the wall there. You go straight ahead. You turn right. Come into the first dining room. Hello, Yogi. Go left. And then you hug right. Hello, doggo. Go right again. And then you go left. And this is the lever. You have to play that back a couple times. I know I had to when I first watched the video on this area. Kind of complicated. And then magic. The wall pops open, and you climb up your first elevator. So far, these enemies have been pretty tame. Nothing super lethal. Ooh, a shiny. Okay, well. Oh. Okay. Ah. Now, see, that could be... That could have been a non-halberd wielding, or whatever it's called, archer. Or a golem. That could have been an archer golem, and that would have really sucked, you know? Okay, so we climb up the ladder, like you saw, turn right, go across, go up another ladder. I do skip this Grace, because it's, again, like you'll see, it's really short between now and the last Grace. Don't feel pressure to do so, as I've said. You fall. Ow. You get clobbered by an imp. Ooh, spooky secret painting. Ooh. Turn right, up the stairs. Another ladder. So that was right before the balcony, before the Grace. You fall down, turn around, fall down again, go through the archway, jump through the painting, turn right, climb the ladder. Okay. Yeah. Make up your mind. Oh, he made up his mind. It's violence. Okay, we're leaving. Alright, so after you pull the lever, you climb over. You go up here. This is what gets unlocked, I'm pretty sure, is that... Oh, good. Those are not the consequences of my actions. Okay, maybe he won't be pissed at me. Ooh. Oh, I heard him. I don't think he can fit through. And then, always the enemy to the right there. Voila. This is the Grace before Midra. And this is, obviously, you want to get this Grace. There's no stake America. So we'll see what mini Midra is. Ooh, spooky. And we'll see what actual Midra is. Well, I did say the dragons were having a heart attack. Oh no! The Dargan. Okay, and no shard. So, now we're getting to the point where we're at 4 shards. And I'll show Romina. Because if it's a shard, I can show Belurat in 2 ways. And if it's not, I can show Belurat in 2 ways later. How much Skidoo do I have? Let's try finding a fair one time. I do enjoy the duo. I have a parry shield. Medium. I'll take what we can get. Oh, that is a beefy godskin. Is that Noble's music too? That's fucking funny. Oh, that makes sense. I was underneath you. My favorite part. I was rolling in front of it, as Ace would say. I was rolling. Oh, I'm fucking dead. Okay. Well, that was a bad showing. We're gonna hope that the Godskin duo, and I would never come here this early. I just want to see if it's a shard. There's lots of flex checks I would do by now. I'd probably go through Belurat even potentially. I just kind of wanted to showcase, like, if this is a shard, showcase what the alternative way into Belurat looks like. Oh no, my heart attack. Oh, it's a shard. Huzzah! Okay, so we'll finish this video with the alternative way into Belurat. Also, when you kill Romina, what I normally would do is I normally would pop something like the gold foul foot that I had in my inventory. You see I got a ton of runes from her. Without it, I wasn't really thinking about it. But those gold pickle foul foot come in handy, especially if you have like multiple of them or the golden horn tenders. You can use some of them early to get like really fast rune acquisition if Romina is not a boss you want to kill right away. And then later on in the game, it's still valuable using them on like Gaius, Mesmer, and Romina are probably your 3 best targets to use them on. They have some of the best rune acquisition. Bale, even. Kind of the big cheeses. So, the reason we're able to do this, as I said earlier in the video, we have 5 shards. Because Romina is a shard, what that says to me is that my teammate will also have will be able to get 5 shards by going through and killing Romina. Which is helpful for lots of reasons. Some more advanced strategy. When I go through Belurat in the reverse way, what I'll say is I'm doing it. I'll be saying now, I guess, but any player, Gravesite Plain or the ADM player, can go through Belurat this way. It all depends on who's killed. You need to be able to kill Romina, and you need to have 5 shards. So when Romina's a shard, and it's actually not uncommon that once a player gets 4 shards to go, and they haven't killed Romina, to go and try and kill Romina. If it's not like a really hard boss, or if even it's a boss that they feel confident in doing. Because if Romina is a shard, it's their 5th shard, they can burn the tree and they can do what I'm doing now. So what I would have actually done, if this was like more of a live game, I would have probably done everything I did already checks-wise. The only difference is that I would have, after getting the shard at Jory, is I wouldn't have ran to Midra. I would have ran to Romina right away instead. And then probably really concentrated and locked in for Godskin Duo, because that's not a... Stupid Gravebirds, dude. Okay. So. Grab the Grace, and... Oh, actually, I always rest here, because I don't like the trap symbol. I actually don't know if the trap symbol messes up at all with what the tech I'm about to do. My belief is that it doesn't. But in case it does, I don't want to bother. So, we are going to Belurat, believe it or not, through the magic of gravity. So, you jump down, wherever you want, to this right side here. Then you jump again. If you look above, you'll see. This is the staircase, if you remember, from the DLC, where they put those awesome, innovative, and fun enemies that spam the spell underneath your feet and are really cool and exciting and engaging. Anyway, so you land there. Then you jump down. You can jump down on either piece, but you just want to land on this part as ever you get to it. Don't punch. If you punch down, you'll fall off. You go through the hole. Carefully parkour your way around. Have your camera do the coolest thing ever. And have a small spasm. And just quit out. Smile. And then you go down. Drop through the hole here. Hopefully it's an inconsequential enemy. I mean, you can always quit out if it isn't. Pick this up because you're addicted to the grind. Then you do this jump that doesn't feel canonically possible, but you can jump from that part through the roof. I have not even gone close to falling and dying yet. I don't know how the physics of it work, but hey, we've arrived at our destination, Belurat. So now, you also may recognize this routing for Euphoria. Anyway, you go down the elevator. Now, the skip I'm going to do is you have to at least be able to give an earnest shot at this skip, or else we won't be able to use the strategy anymore, so please just don't stake skip for fun, teehee. But once you take the elevator, you'll orient yourself on which part to go by the arch that goes outside. So if you're standing here, go left, you go here, and then boop. And I didn't do it. Well, I tried. I think I need to move up a little more forward and jump. But that was like a sincere attempt. I'm a little rusty on the skip. I hit X really quickly. My apologies. Stake America pops up as a prompt, and you'll see where I am. Which is, oh, we're in Belurat. So what I've done is instead of running through Belurat early, which has some complications, the enemies hit hard, you have no levels in, you're not invested yet. This is especially a powerful strategy if like I have my weapon and let's say my partner had backhand blades. I'm pretty sure you can come to the National War. You can infuse now. Like I don't feel the need to come through Belurat and get more loot. We had tons of ruins. This is a great run to showcase why this strategy actually works well because we don't need all the pickups in between. So, oh boy, what is he? Oh, he's wearing the helmet. That's funny. Oh, well. Demonstration for Asim on how to bully Gideon. You run up to him. You hit R1. Blah, blah, blah. He was half HP, but the plan is the same. So you see, big results biasing. Notice how those aren't shards or oh mother. People who are opposed to the strategy of going through Belurat. Yeah, so you just fall down there. That won't kill you. I can show that again. People who are opposed to the Belurat strategy will say, what if there's shards? What if there's oh mother? I think I've had 1 or 2 games out of maybe like 10 to 20 now that's happened. Most of the time this has been pretty consistently, has paid off well. Which I know is very like results-oriented bias, blah, 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 but it is what it is. So grab the Grace, kill the boss. You can also go grab what I'm going to grab first and memory of Grace back up and then kill the boss, whatever your order is. Then you can just fall down here, clip, boop. Oh my... See, imagine if I came through this jungle with no skidoo and no health. What a nightmare this would be. Actually, it's still maybe a fucking nightmare trying to do this. Whoop. Yep. Well, you know, beggars can't be choosers. We will do what all good North Americans do, and will ignore the evidence that doesn't proceed to my worldview. Whoop! I was a bit rushed. Apologies. I had to jump off for my life. Ow! Brother. Anyway, you jump across here. If you don't make that jump, you have to quit out, or else you go to the very bottom ravine. But then you end up on top of this roof. You go here. You go here. You go here. Oh, is it going to be Oh Mother? It wasn't. It was Skidoo. So, a lots of Skidoo. And I don't flame Skidoo. Skidoo is glorious and beautiful. We like Skidoo fragments. But you'll notice where that took me. I'll actually show you the reverse pathing. I'll do this. I'll show you the Belurat way, like, normally. Actually, you know what? Yeah, we should do that. Actually, it will probably be the end of the video. I got to showcase that part. Am I missing... Outside of the flex checks, am I missing any checks? No, I don't think so. Okay. We have Jory, Midra, Rakshasa, both Gravesite Plain, both Red Bears. And then hopefully your teammates found no mother. So, if you don't want to do Belurat that way, the super cool, you know, appreciating all the verticality and the interconnectivity of the world that FromSoft is so beautifully well known for, you can go from the 3-path cross grace over here. I'm being facetious, by the way. It doesn't matter. You would then grab, instead of like, you know, picture we didn't do anything yet in our routing, we would do this very early. You would grab this grace, because more cute little Sag boy more. Oh, well, that's gonna have consequences later. I'm sure I will have to reckon with. More will don't do that. He's a vendor you can sell at, and he's a vendor you'll sell at, and you have other things the way that Tolier had things. You'll quit out this door. Again, IGT is all that matters. That door animation is very long, and for some reason, oh, I didn't get it. Sometimes I think maybe I loaded Belurat first. If you come in here the normal way, don't be surprised like the way I'm doing now, for the first time. Sometimes that loading screen is really long. I think it's because it's not loading up Belurat yet. It kind of like it's like Celia Crystal Tunnel levels long, if you know from base games. So anyway, yeah, you'll just run through the enemies. Hopefully they're not too scary. They aren't. This is good so far. Run past that. That's the scorpion normally. Pick that up for fun. And so, again, I'll grab this grace for just showing. I don't normally, and I'll show why. One of the big hurdles that Belurat gave us as very, very, very early DLC running days was the door boss. That is the boss, or not really a boss, that is the enemy that replaces past this area at the end of this tunnel here. Let's actually see what it is. I haven't done this in a long time. Ow. Oh, wow. So that door boss was easy. Sometimes that's like a giant golem, right? So it's not always... And that gave us a lot of trouble, right? Belurat was actually one of the places we started coming to last on our routing, because we needed to have an upgraded weapon in Skidoo to like maybe kill that boss, which obviously would suck if you found like a good weapon, right? Or something. And in Belurat that you wanted to pivot to. So instead now, imagine I'm coming through. That's the way I just came, right? I grabbed the grace before. Sorry, buddy. Right? Came up here. Instead of going down the hall, we're going to hop left, hop right. Don't need to do the hop, it's just fun. I'm bad at the skip, so climb up the tree. Oh wow, first try. And then you'll see, we skip the door boss. Let me just go here. We go across the rooftops. Like we're your favorite neighborhood Spider-Man. Spider-Person, Spider-Thing. And we're at the Grace. So, that's a way to avoid the door boss. And I think, just going to check really quickly. You'll see here, this is like the overlay. Allows you to see all the checks we've done. So we've done the Jail Knight Mausoleum. We've done the Ghost Flame Dragon. We've done Divine Lion. In Skadu Altus, we've done Red Bear Mausoleum and the Red Bear itself. In Abyssal Woods, we've done Rakshasa, wherever her thing is, over somewhere, over there maybe. Yeah, I think Rakshasa. We've done Midra. Ow! Bro. I can't attack you because of the stupid thing. Fucking rude. Anyway. Well, I want to let me check the overlay. I think that's all the things we've done. Okay. So, I don't think I'll do any more. I'll go through the flex checks in the second video, but those 9 checks are the checks as the Gravesite Plain player you are most likely responsible with. For any other check we'll go through will either be ADM routing specifically, which I'll make a second video for, and at the end of that video, I'll do what's called the flex checks, and those are checks that either player can do based sort of on the tempo of the game, finding your mother, things like that. So, thanks for watching. Hope this is helpful, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.